this is, or was, my attempt to cover Bit Bash in Chicago. I say that it was my attempt because, well, we filmed it, and this is going to be sort of a director's commentary or reporter's commentary on what we tried to film. But so the recorder I'm holding in my hand, I originally had it attached to a microphone. My brother was in a band, and he had an extra microphone lying around at his house. And so I grabbed it and plugged that in with an XLR mic into that recorder, and it didn't really work. So I was like, well, fine, I'll just kind of awkwardly carry this microphone, and it'll be just fine, except that I had switched a setting over to, there's my wife saying hello, because she was the actual one holding the video camera, because I don't have a Vinny, or a Drew, or Jason, because now we have another camera person. But anyway, so I forgot to switch something over. Long story short, it didn't record any of that audio. And the audio that is actually on here, which I will cut over to now. Johann Sebastian Joust, parts of the Sports Friends package. Yeah, as you can tell, it's not super usable. Like, would have been fine for maybe some ambient noise or something, but it was not usable for the feature I wanted to put together. But in any case, Bit Bash was this cool event put on in Chicago. Right here in front of me, if you can't really tell, they're playing Johann Sebastian Joust, which they did all day, they did all night. It was really cool. At one point, Dave Lang showed up with his family. Turns out he actually has a family. I didn't believe him for a very long time. And he was walking around playing Joust by just holding the controller over his head. And because he's so tall, no one was able to get to him. And at one point, he also had his daughter on his shoulder. So I went here to try and cover this because I don't get to do a whole lot of things in the field out in Chicago. And we tried to make it kind of fun because my wife is the one that was filming this, and she's new to this. She is not a videographer, so I don't know. We tried to do the best we could, and I appreciate that she was a good sport about it. So it was sponsored by Threadless, and not only was it sponsored by Threadless, it was actually held at the main Threadless headquarters. And like most people are aware of Threadless because they're a t-shirt company that you buy goofy stuff from online. But in this case, they're actually a Chicago company, and this is one of their warehouses. I sincerely doubt much is actually made at this headquarters, but it is this sort of warehouse thing. I looked at my microphone right there. I really wish I'd looked at it and realized that nothing was actually being recorded. So anyway, when you head into it, there's not a lot going on outside. PlayStation was one of the sponsors. There's like no monikers on it though. It's just a PlayStation logo, and this was the highly crafted directions on where you're supposed to go. But in any case, outside, other than Johann Sebastian Joust, were some food trucks that showed up later. There was also, you could pay Paranomical. That's my best friend Dan Schuster. He's the man that actually, oh look, there's a sweet Giant Bomb fan. Look, multiple Giant Bomb fans showing up in the video. There were a lot of awesome Giant Bomb dudes at Bit Bash, and it was really cool to see how much of the Giant Bomb audience came out, and really made me feel bad that we have not done more meetups in the Chicagoland area. But they had some artwork set up. The kind of general setup for all of Bit Bash was a selection of arcade machines, including a game called Killer Queen that we'll get over to in a second. And then there was sort of a steady rotation of indie games that have been oh, you can see all the buttons lit up right there. That's very frustrating. This is Close Castles. It becomes from one of the co-creators of Threes, Asher Volmer, I believe is his name. I think I made the same mistake in talking about this. Now you're seeing exactly one of the issues of not having not so much of a videographer. Oh, yep. Katie turned on at that point. Katie turned on her flashlight or the light on her phone to try and give me some extra light in the vicinity. But I can buy like a light for my camera, but I have not done that yet. But look, it looks beautiful as soon as you go out here. But that's sort of the limitation of the camera I'm kind of working with. But so anyway, that's Close Castles. It's sort of I didn't get a chance to play too much of it. It's sort of a turn-based strategy game of some sort. I wish I could tell you more about it, but unfortunately I don't actually know too much more. This is Kevin Reeder. He is actually part of the Nerdalogs. The Nerdalogs is, if you saw that article from Dave Lang, on the front page a couple of weeks back, in which he told a story at something called Your Stories. That is one of the shows that Nerdologues puts on. They're a Chicago-based comedy troupe that does a ton of really cool stuff. If you're ever in the Chicagoland area, I highly recommend checking out their work. In here, he's telling me about I think it's called the Choose-a-tron. It's basically a choose-your-own-adventure, but it spits out this like ticker tape thing that explains exactly what your story was and how it ended. I can't remember exactly what his story ended up being, but it's such a cool little thing because you walk up to it and you choose from several different premises, and then from there you are given parts of the story, and then you choose, how you'd like the story to develop, and at the end it gives that to you, so you can actually hand that to people and show them what you did. So it's not something that I think works in any other context than seeing it in person. That's definitely a part of the appeal is that you have a physical copy of it that's kind of happening in a physical space. So it could be just a text file, but the reason that works so well is because you are actually seeing it in person. And this is Killer Queen. This is, man, like the hip new craze in the Chicagoland area, because there is this cabinet at the Emporium, one of the several barcades in the Chicagoland area. And so Killer Queen, you see there's an orange and blue cabinet. They are actually connected to one another, and maybe at this point I'll cut over to some gameplay. I'm recording this live, so I'm also doing live edits of this as well. But the basic concept is you have, I think it's 6 people on each side. You're competing against one another. Some people are sort of soldiers. One person is the queen, and and then other people are some other subtype that I can't quite remember. But what's cool about it is you're on this big map, and you have several different ways you can win. Either you kill the queen 3 times, you collect enough little nuts along the way, and that all adds up and you win. And there's also a slug that goes along the ground, and he moves very slowly, but if you get to the other side, then you ended up winning. It's nice because if you're not really good at like jumping and hitting things, there are other ways sort of to win. It's actually how my wife wins. She plays the economy tactic. So they also had DJ sets going, but right here they had Gang Beasts playing, and they ended up putting Gang Beasts outside again. And from what I can tell, people were pretty upset when Gang Beasts got removed, and they sort of just wished that Gang Beasts had stayed on there. Not to say that there weren't people playing some cool music and things like that, but Gang Beasts is quickly becoming sort of the go-to arcade or sort of party game, so it was not a surprise that proved to be one of the more popular things. In fact, most of the stuff that was really popular at BitBash was sort of local multiplayer, because there's a lot of people that feel left out from local multiplayer games, where they love what they're doing, they love the concept, they want to play the games, but either for technical reasons or design reasons, they choose to leave them out. And BitBash was an opportunity for people to get together and actually play those games together. So I thought that was one of the really cool things about this, was to give people that opportunity, because I don't know, not everyone's as fortunate as me to have a bunch of friends that like playing games. Here was either it was maybe a line for the bathroom. No, actually, you know what? There were arcade machines back there. So there was one for Samurai Gun. There was one for this Tango game that used a DDR pad, and then there was another one for Crypt of the Necrodancer. So there were some like arcade setups and sort of unique peripheral setups. I think at this point is where I'm going to run into another friend of mine, and it's probably not going to look that great. Oh, Mogi Grumbles? I always forget how to actually say his stage name. Anyway, he does a bunch of really cool music. He did a Tron remix album. He did a, not Blade Runner, I don't know, he's done some really terrific, Escape from New York, an Escape from New York remix album, and he also, more importantly, in terms of video games, did the music to Fracked OSC, which was a pretty terrific first-person puzzle game that came out earlier this year. It's a game in which the music is deeply intertwined with the design, and the music it changes and is reflected by the puzzles and what's happening on screen. So here I caught him off guard, and you can't quite get it, but what was really funny is that I asked him a couple of questions and he didn't he didn't know quite how to answer because I had not set him up for this interview. But at the end, what was really great is that I was asking him, hey, where'd you get that PBR? And he had secret PBRs. He had secret beers hidden away. So at the end of this interview, all I'm really doing is, well, A, laughing right now because it seems the autofocus is kind of out of control, and then furthermore, just making sure I can get some secret beers. And spoiler alert, later he did get me some secret beers. You know, I don't know if that was against BitBash protocol or not, but I eventually did find them. And that was, oh yeah, I'm pointing over at the stage. He eventually was going to go on. But you know, the cool thing about BitBash, because this video is starting to wind down, was that Chicago, like a lot of other cities, has vibrant gaming communities, whether it's developers, whether it's players, and you don't have to be in New York, you don't have to be in San Francisco, you don't have to be in these hubs in order to get together to appreciate games, but actually getting that movement together to recognize that and to make those communities galvanize and feel as though they have a collective voice and interest is tough, because you actually have to put that stuff together. Organizing things like this is really, really difficult. And it was awesome to be at Bish Bash because it sort of reinforced how excited I am to be on the ground floor at what's happening in Chicago. I think it is going to be one of the premier cities in the next 5 to 10 years when it comes to video games. And so it was an honor to be a part of that. I was so excited that so many Giant Bomb people were there, and there were so many other people there that told me the reason they were there was because I was tweeting about it and said I was going to be there. So I'm hopeful that, you know, Giant Bomb and myself can be a part of stuff like that going forward. And I hope that this is just the beginning of many events like BitBash, and we'll just have to see. But yeah, this is my attempt to try and use this footage for something and give you a sense of what was happening at this cool event. And hopefully, if you're out in Chicago, then I will see you at the next BitBash. So see you guys.